What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talk About Sports with Jake. Hope you're all doing well. We had huge news that broke late last night. The Max Crosby trade is off. The Baltimore Ravens have pulled out of the Max Crosby trade, citing a failed physical and other medical concerns as to the reason why. So Max Crosby will remain a member of the Las Vegas Raiders. The Ravens will keep their first-round pick this year and next year. So this is going to be a wild turn of events because the Raiders spent a crap ton of money in free agency. The reason being, they thought, okay, we moved Max's $35 million salary off the books. We are going to be drafting a rookie quarterback. We won't have to pay him for 4 or 5 years. You have a rookie running back in Ashton Genty. You won't have to pay him for at least another 3 or 4 years, if ever. You have a rookie tight end in Brock Barrett. I'm naming like their actual building block pieces. You won't have to pay him for another 2 years or so. So they're like, they have all this cap space. They're not paying anybody. So that's why you go out and pay a center $27 million a year. Like, that's ridiculous, but they need a big lineman in the middle of the offensive line because this is a team in Clint Kubiak's offense that's going to run through Ashton Genty, who spent the top 10 pick on last year. That was needed. And first of all, you have to overpay because you're the Raiders. And second of all, they have the ability to do so for the reasons I just mentioned. So if they spent all that money on Quay Walker and the Kobe Dean and Kwity Paye and Jalen Allen, you spent almost $200 million in total salary on free agents. And now Max Crosby, look, he's a great player. I guess not even almost a re-add. He never technically left the team yet, but he's going to remain a part of your team. He's one of the 5 best edge rushers in the NFL, for sure. But he's also, due $35 million, and you want to be able to really rebuild this roster, which we're able to do with the salary relief that he brought, which is over $30 million, and 2 first-round picks that he got from the Baltimore Ravens. And now this really kind of throws a wrench into things, because if I still want to trade him, they're not going to be able to, most likely. Certainly not for that price. Now that the cat's out of the bag, and this is a guy who's 29 years old. He's had injury concerns the last 2 seasons. Had a whole injury debacle at the end of the year this past year. Ravens are saying, yeah, medical concerns, he failed his physical. Definitely seems a little fishy. Like, what's going on? I think the Ravens looked at it and were like, bring him in, cost us a Pro Bowl starter and Tyler Linderbaum, the 2 first-round picks. I think we're better off keeping the draft picks and having a little bit of salary relief just because of the injury. So they got spooked, so they called it off. And they end up signing Trey Hendrickson, 4 years, $112 million. Look, bit of a desperate move, but he's a great player too. He is going to be 32 years old. He's coming off an injury plague year last year, but the previous 2 years, he had back-to-back 17.5 sack seasons, and he's the top 5-6 pass rusher himself in the NFL. So they save like $7 or $8 million a year. With Hendrickson, it would have been about $35 million to pay Crosby this year. Hendrickson's going to make what? That comes to like 27.5. All right, so you save maybe $7.5 million a year signing Hendrickson. Slightly worse player, but still a great player. He's a couple of years older though as well. I probably would have gotten higher than 3 years if they gave him a 4-year deal. But he is a great player. And the Ravens add him. They do get that legit number 1 edge rusher that you really need. So, and they keep the draft pick. So, not sure, and the Rebel picks are going to be huge. You think of all the teams that were interested in Max Crosby. Dallas was interested. They said they're not going to pursue him. You think a team like Chicago made sense. They just spent a bunch of money on a couple of pieces defensively, in Kobe Bryant and Devin Bush. I think a team like Washington made sense. They spent $100 million on Odafe Oweh. Carolina was a team that had a need. They just spent $120 million on Julian Phillips. Because the Jets have been in the landing spot. They just spent a ton of money on a bunch of defensive players, most of them being defensive linemen and linebackers. So there's really no suitors left. So you're going to either have to take a very low return for him, possibly eat some money, or keep him for a year and hopefully he stays healthy and he rebuilds his value. So crazy turn of events last night. Max Crosby trade is off. We're going to talk some baseball very briefly. We're going to preview the National League Central. I have the Chicago Cubs winning it. I really wrestled with this one. It seems obvious. I feel like if you're a casual, you look at the roster, you're like, oh, the Cubs clearly the best roster. But Milwaukee always finds a way to be a relevant team every year and have a good team every year. They kind of always figure it out, and they usually end up winning that division. But I just think the Cubs this year really have a really good squad and are in a position to definitely win that division. They have some excellent starting pitching. You make the trade for Edward Cabrera. You give up a lot in that deal. Owen Cassie, your top prospect, who's going to play a lot this year for the Marlins, and probably going to play a bunch for the Cubs this year as well. You give up a lot, but he's a little bit injury prone, but he's a very good pitcher. Kate Horton would have been actually rookie of the year if he didn't get hurt the very end of the season last year. You bring back Shoto Imanaga. Hopefully he can pitch a little bit better. And you have some nice depth. Justin Steele will come back at some point. Matthew Boyd had a good year last year. Jameson Tyon's a solid arm. Even a guy like Common Rea is fine for depth. So you have 5 or 6 really good arms in that rotation. Bullpen is, I think, just okay. Your closest probably going to be Danny Palencia after you lose Brad Keller. But, Phil Matten is okay. Hunter Harvey's okay. Caleb Thielbar isn't bad. Hobie Milner. Jordan Wicks for depth. So the bullpen's is kind of okay. But the rotation's really, really strong. I think they'll be solid offensively. Michael Bush is a legit power threat. You add Alex Bregman, that was a huge pickup. He's still a legit option at third base. Excellent defender at third. Still a very good middle of the order bat. Dansby Swanson's still a really good shortstop. You have Ian Happ in the outfield. PCA, obviously, first half of the year last year was a beast. Struggled down the stretch a lot, but really good young player. I think he'll have a really good year. Sai Suzuki had a career year last year. You also have Nico Horner at second base. Is a really good defensive team as well. This is a very good team. They got a good manager in Craig Counsell, who did take him to the postseason last year and second year on the job with the Chicago Cubs. Right now they're at 90 wins. I think they will clear that. I do think they will win the National League Central this year. I thought they were going to win it last year, honestly. Didn't quite go according to plan. The Brewers had a pretty crazy year. But I think they're going to be a good team, though, the Brewers. I think they'll be relatively close in the division. I have them clearing the 80 win projection that Dakota has. I have taken the over on that. I know their offense leaves a lot to be desired, but they have so much young pitching. I know your ace right now is probably Brendan Woodruff, who has a lot of health concerns. But a full year of Jacob Mizorowski, Quinn Priester had a breakout year last year. Chad Patrick for a full season. You bring in Kyle Harrison in the trade for Caleb Durbin, which I didn't love, but he is a talented young arm. You get Brandon Sproat for Freddie Peralta. Logan Henderson will probably make an impact. So you have so much young pitching. That bullpen's outstanding. Abney Uribe is just disgusting. You have Trevor McGill, who's very good. Jared Cohen, Angel Anheuser, but Aaron Ashby for some length. DL Hall, a couple of those young stars I mentioned will probably get some time in the bullpen. And you have a lot of length. So you have some really impressive pitching depth. Offensively, you're not great, but they're no slouches either. That last year they hit really well with runners in scoring position. They did the small ball thing really well. They really did a good job working counts and getting on base. Wilson Contreras is one of the best catchers in the league. Andrew Vaughn was really good at the coming over. This is going to be a great defensive team with Bryce Turang and Joey Ortiz out the middle. I know Ortiz can't hit, but very good defensive shortstop. Turang's back came alive last year. If Jackson Churrio's healthy, you got a lot of youngsters in that outfield with him and Garrett Mitchell, Blake Perkins, Self Frelick. Christian Yelich is still a very solid bat. Even Jake Barrows as a bench bat. Jake Williams, they're a top prospect you get with the Mets. Very small, but can do it all. He'll come up at some point this season. I think this is still going to be a very good team. Pat Murphy's a great manager. This is a good team. I think they'll be a playoff team once again. In third place, I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Reds. I think they're going to be... I'm going to take that slight over almost 77 wins. Losing their ace, Hunter Green, for about half the season hurts a lot with the elbow surgery. But you still have some impressive young pitching. I like Brady Singer. I like Nick Lodolo, Chase Burns for a full year, Rhett Lauder for a full year, Andrew Abbott in the back of that rotation. I still think they have some decent starting pitching. And the back half of the season, they could have some really impressive starting pitching when Hunter Green comes back. Bullpen leaves a lot to be desired. Emilio Pagan closing. We did have a good year last year. Graham Ashcraft, Tony Santillan, Brock Burke, Pierce Johnson. Just kind of an okay bullpen. Bullpen was very bad last year. Offensively, They're very exciting, is what I'll say. With Tyler Stevenson behind the plate, Encarnacion Strand at first base, Matt McClain, hopefully he's healthy. Brian Hayes at third, Edward De La Cruz at short. Very exciting infield. Novelli Marte in the outfield. TJ Friedel isn't bad. You add Eugenio Suarez, who's a 40 homer threat. He'll do most of the DH work. You still have Spencer Steer off the bench. This is a team that should be very good defensively, has a lot of power, and is definitely an exciting team. Terry Francone's a Hall of Fame caliber manager, multiple-time World Series champion in Boston, got close in Cleveland as well. Obviously took him to the playoffs last year. I'm not sure if they'll be able to get back. They're still really young. Losing Hunter Green for half the year hurts, but this is still an exciting team that I think will be very competitive. Then we have the Pittsburgh Pirates. So I'm going to take the under on the 82 wins that they're projected at. That's a really just generous projection from Bakota. But this is also an exciting team. I mean, Paul Skeens is just electric. You saw him on the Rare Baseball Classic. I'm sure he was shocked that, oh my God, the guys behind me are actually making plays. Mitch Keller is very good. Jared Jones is good. But Chandler, I think, has a lot of potential. So you had some really impressive young pitching. You're taking a flyer on Jose Urquidy, who was once a really good arm before the injuries in Houston. The bullpen should be pretty good with Dennis Santana closing. You bring Gregory Soto, who's a solid left-hander. Mason Montgomery for depth. Then offensively, I'm not sure how many runs are True going to score, but they have a lot of power. Spencer Horwitz at first. You add Brandon Lowe's of 35 homer threat at second base. Connor Griffin, I think, will make the opening day roster as a starting shortstop. Brian Rounds is solid. O'Neill Cruz, nothing else, will hit a lot of home runs. You add Ryan O'Hearn. The password, Garcia, you get him from the Red Sox and trade for Johan Oviedo, which is a great trade for them. Ozuna, not the best locker room presence, maybe with the off the field issues, but he is still a solid middle of the order bat. He'll do a lot of the DHing. This is an exciting team that, again, I don't think they're a playoff team. I think they're a couple of years away, but Pittsburgh is building something, and I think they'll be a competitive team. And my St. Louis Cardinals are definitely going to be in last place. I'm taking the under on my 66 wins. This team's going to be really bad. You completely tore it apart in the offseason. Starting pitching leaves a lot to be desired. I'm interested to see what Hunter Dobbs and Dick Fitz look like in this rotation. You get those two guys in separate trades, with Boston one for Sonny Grad, the other for Rosa Contreras. Matthew Liberatore, we're still waiting on. Don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think there's anything to save with Dustin May at this point. Andre Palante is just okay. In the bullpen, it's going to be ugly. Your closer right now is Jojo Romero. One of your top relievers is Ryan Stanek, who was rough with the Mets last year. I've never heard of a lot of their bullpen guys. One of their reliever team is Scott Blewett. How does a guy with the last name Blewett become a relief pitcher in the major leagues? I gotta know how that happened. And offensively, outside Nolan Gorman, who I think is a really good player, I like Alec Burleson. Lars Nootbaar's a fun player. Mason Wynn's a young shortstop. I still believe in Jordan Walker. It's a lot of in that lineup. So I think this is going to be a really rough team. I don't think Ollie Marmol's a great manager. No, he just got an extension, but I'm not really a big supporter of him. This is going to be a rough year for St. Louis. I think they're looking at a 100-loss year. Let's talk some NFL for agency. Definitely has slowed down, but still some moves that were made. The Jets signed Nashawn Wright with the Bears a year for $5.5 million. I think this is a good move for the Jets, who have added a lot of pieces on the defensive side of the football. Last year, a career year for Wright, made the Pro Bowl. He had 80 tackles, 5 interceptions, which was tied for the league lead. He also had 3 fumble recoveries, 11 pass defenses, and 2 forced fumbles. Was solid in coverage. He'll definitely slot in as one of the starting corners for the Jets. Of course, you traded Sauce Gardner away at the deadline last year. Brandon Stevens was really bad last year as your other corner. Jarvis Brownlee would probably handle on the inside of the slot. You got him in a trade last year during the season from Tennessee. But Nashawn Wright is probably your number one corner right now. So you add him on a 1-year deal. Other moves, Browns signed Alton Jenkins 2 years, $24 million. I think this is a good move. Browns are tasked with completely rebuilding their offensive line. Teach's Howard move wasn't horrible. Zion Johnson was definitely an overpay. This is a good move. Jenkins is going to be 30. He's also slight step, especially in the run blocking area. He's a bit injury prone, but still one of the best run blocking linemen in the league. Very versatile. Still a very good offensive lineman, and they add him from a Green Bay Packer. The Eagles signed Reek Woolen a year for $15 million. So after being a All-Pro and Defensive Rookie of the Year finalist, as a rookie in 2022. He has regressed a little bit, but he's still a solid ball hawker. Last year, 41 tackles, an interception, 12 pass defenses. So he's still had a decent year. Only going to be 27. He's a good player. We all remember that really two awful sequence of plays in the NFC Championship game, taking that really bad penalty and then getting torched the very next play. It's a bad luck. And he has regressed pretty much every year since his rookie year, but he's still a solid player. I think getting into Philadelphia's room with Vic Fangio and all the talent around him in Philadelphia, not that there wasn't a ton of talent around him in Seattle, obviously, on the defensive side of football especially, but not a horrendous signing. They needed, I think, one more corner. I like Cooper DeJean a lot. Quentin Mitchell, two of the best young corners in the game. But having Reek Wilman locked into the slot, I think that makes you overall a better team. And also, he's coming up a Super Bowl championship as well. Moving along, Steelers re-signed Cameron Hayward, 2 years, $32.2 million, $16 million or so guaranteed. Hayward going to be 37 next year, but still a really good player. Last year, 78 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 6 pass defenses, and a forced fumble. Second team All Pro. He's been first team All Pro 4 times in his career, second team All Pro 2 other times. Been a Pro Bowler 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in his career. He's a great player. Been in Pittsburgh obviously his whole career. Will be year 16 for him in Pittsburgh. 92 career sacks. Might be Hall of Famer one day. Cam Hayward returns to Pittsburgh when what could be his last ever contract that he signs. And the Colts extend Daniel Jones 2 years, $88 million, with up to $100 million, with $60 million guaranteed. Look, this is a wild deal for Daniel Jones, guaranteeing him $60 million, $44 million a season, possibly $50 million a season. His agent is a generational bag getter for him. But look, you don't want a starting quarterback who could be a franchise guy possibly in a year, playing on a 1-year deal, because if he goes out and has a great year, now you have to overpay substantially for him. If he doesn't really go off and just has an year, now you go into the following year without any direction at quarterback whatsoever. So last year, before he got hurt, was playing very well. Completed 68% of his passes for a little over 3,100 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Of course, tore his Achilles and missed the last 4 games of the season. But he was playing very well. Good football. Was having the best year of his career last year before he got injured. If he's healthy, I think there's a chance he could do something similar. I know Michael Pittman isn't coming back, but the rest of the group is. So Jones is back in Indianapolis, so that is definitely an overpay for sure. To finish up, let's talk some WWE news from this past week. We're going to backtrack to Vengeance Day from this past weekend. On Saturday, Blake Monroe defeats Jada Parker in a street fight. Very good match, very entertaining match. I'm very happy that they had Blake go over. I love Jada Parker, but Blake Monroe, honestly, I don't know what she's even still doing in NXT, to be honest, but she's very good. She wins a hellacious street fight. Tony D'Angelo goes DLX. This was awesome. That all-out brawl for a while in the parking lot, backstage, ends up in the ring. You end up getting a really decent match out of it. I love Tony D'Angelo. They finally found the right gimmick for him that he could probably take to the main roster if he wants to. I love Tony D'Angelo as he gets rid of Dark State finally, and he defeats Dean Lennox. That was a really good match. Tatum Pack defeats Izzy Dane to win the NXT North American Championship. The women's North American title from her. This was a great match. It's been a great feud. Obviously, a very tense rivalry. Tatum Pack is really good. A couple of the moves were a little wonky. She's got a weird style. It doesn't always look great, but she's really, really talented. She's one of the better in-ring performers that WWE has, if you ask me. She honestly reminds me a little bit of Asuka. Asuka's style, it looks a little wonky sometimes, like almost like she's botching, but she's not. And it really does work. And the reason Asuka's one of the greatest of all time. Tatum Pack, I think, has that ceiling as well. We had Lola Vice defeat Columbia Jordan in an underground match, of course, with her dad watching. Knocks her out with a back fist. That was a pretty good match. And the NXT Championship, Joe Hendry defeats Ricky Saints to retain the NXT title. Ethan Page tries to help out, tried to throw the title to Ricky Saints, overshot it, ends up costing him the match. Joe Hendry retains the NXT Championship over Ricky Saints. Monday Night Raw from this Monday started out with Adam Pearce calling out Seth Rollins. All the masked hooligans came out, and he said, he basically told Seth Rollins, "I hate division as much as you do, but you can't keep doing this." And then all the masked men came into the ring and threw Adam Pearce through a loop. Not a fan of this masked man gimmick, though I do like what they're doing with Seth Rollins. I think they're trying to stall for Braun Breaker. It's very obvious. There's nothing else you can do with him at WrestleMania. You're just hoping that he gets back down, and they're trying to stall as much as they can. Eventually, the division came out. Paul and Theory cut a promo, and the Usos came out. LA Knight came out. Then we had a number of contenders. Golden match for the Women's Intercontinental title. Bayley wins. She beats Asuka, Ivy, Io Sky, Raquel Rodriguez, and Lyra Valkyria. I thought this was boring. I know there's history with AJ Lee and Bayley way back when in their NXT days, but you could have had an outstanding match with Io Sky. Asuka, I thought should have won this match. By the way, Lyra Valkyria's booking since SummerSlam is god awful. Holy hell. But this was a fun gauntlet, and you had a section of the care with a vignette on Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan ends up reacting to it. And then we had Dom Mysterio start cutting her promo. Finn Balor interrupts. Finn Balor calls him some names, and the Judgment Day turn on Finn Balor. He is out of the Judgment Day finally after 4 years, and so the entire OG Judgment Day is gone besides Dom. And now Finn's officially a face. Thank goodness. Give me Finn and JD, Finn and Dom Mysterio at WrestleMania, please, and bring out the Demon with the Intercontinental title. It was supposed to be Penta against the original El Grande, but then Danhausen curses him, and all of a sudden the new El Grande comes out, and Penta ends up having a match with him, but he wins the match. Really good match, really good ending to that match as well. And then we had what else we have? Oh, we had Obafemi against Rusev. This could have been better. Look, I love Obafemi. I like Rusev. It was a okay match, but I thought it could have been a little longer. This either needs to be a squash match or a hellacious, match that was actually relatively close. But obviously, Oba goes over like he should, but this could have been better. Then we had Kofi Kingston tried to pitch Javon Evans to join a New Day. So we'll see where that goes. Then CM Punk cut a promo that was interrupted by the Usos, saying you gotta apologize. He did but didn't, and then they shoved him. I'm not sure if this was needed. I mean, this Punk and Rowan promo is missing something. Honestly, they really should get The Rock involved. They won't, because he won't show up, but they really should. This was it was an entertaining segment. I will say, I'm not a juice of him whatsoever. I'm tired of him. He can't turn back the clock to like the heel Jey Uso days, and that's the Jey Uso that we need. We need to end this yeet gimmick. That Jey Uso, the really fiery, fired up, angry Jey Uso, that's the best version of Jey Uso that we're going to get. So I think they should continue down that path. So that was Raw. NXT following Wednesday, last night, we had Teddy Paxley came out to start. He was interrupted by Izzy Dane, who was insulting her, and then she was attacked, and then her and the Culling attacked her. It's set up by a steel cage match next week for the North American Championship. Robert Stone said this is going to be the end of this rivalry. We have a triple threat match between Shawn Legacy, Eli Knight, and Jasper Troy, and a number one contenders match for the Speed title. Shawn Legacy, Eli Knight both pinned Jasper Troy, so they both won technically. So we'll see where they go from there. Then we had Lexis King and Uriah Connors defeat Charlie Dempsey and Tavion Heights in a tag match, and then Charlie Dempsey turns on Tavion Heights and joins Lexis King's group with his father, William Regal, and Finley watching. So that was a pretty shocking turn of events. Tony D'Angelo cut a promo. He threatened to Joe Hendry, saying he's coming after the NXT Championship. I love Tony D'Angelo's presentation. It's fantastic. It's Soruka against Laney Reed. Soruka picked up the win. Headed for a triple threat match this coming week against Zarya and JC Jane for JC's NXT Women's Championship. They Ren Sinclair tap out Thea Hale in the Speed Tournament final. which was cool. Then we had Ethan Page and Ricky Saints in a tag match defeat the NXT champion Joe Hendry and the North American champion Miles Bourne. A tag team match, of course. Page and Saints bicker throughout the match, but obviously some antics lead to Page and Saints picking up the win. That was NXT. That's all I got for you guys today. Till next time, so long. Have a great day.